and he was just short of the record in the Moroccan meeting in Rabat.
Okay.
Is he able to take the next step? Because he's one of the most consistent runners, but when it comes to...
See, I don't think we'll have another Usain Bolt.
A Liverpool fan, again from you, anything you want to say?
About what?
A coronation or anything?
I mean, it sits easy on me these days. I was at the Pirates Sports Club yesterday, and we were watching the MotoGP. Maybe Benny's an emotional coach. Benny touches with the characters of the players.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he could be. That could be a special thing as part of perhaps a bigger coaching team.
I just think you just need somebody who can grind right now. Like the reason why I liked Gavin when Gavin had come in was that, you know, I think Kaizer Chiefs, we think we are what we are not.
You need facts, figures, scores, and scoops, and the truth.
It is a Monday edition. Good morning. Spicing things up here today. Kevin McCallum is here. George Mokoena is here. You guys can give everybody that sees us a big wave, a big smile. And Kev, what a weekend, man.
Just emotion. I mean, tears at Anfield, tears at Aston Villa,
Tears for
at
Nadal.
Loftus, tears at Roland Garros. I mean, it was just like Cry City, Cry Baby City. It was ridiculous.
Was it tears at Loftus? Was it
Not
tears at
really.
Loftus? Because it's the first leg, isn't it?
Yes, the first day. They still have something to do, but it's not a good position.
And that is where George is coming in today. He's going to chat about that and what it is that Mamelodi Sundowns need to do as they head into the second leg. They leave for Egypt on Wednesday. Mtho Dude is also coming up on the show as we talk African football and what is happening out there. But let's get into the headlines. We have to talk about Sundowns. They obviously let it slip in the 94th minute. So that is high up on our agenda today. Kaizer Chiefs, Kev, failing to qualify for the top 8. And we've been chatting about this. George, we've been going on and on about it here also because we're just like, what is his philosophy and does he have one?
I don't think so. I always view Nabi as a guy who's got vibes. I think of him as Carlo Ancelotti.
Okay.
You know, let the guys go, let them have fun. I don't think he's a guy who has to coach. And unfortunately, the players that he has to coach them.
Yeah. Liverpool fan over there? I know you're bursting at the seams, waiting to say something.
I think Kaizer Chiefs are basically Manchester United in disguise.
Thank you.
Wow.
Because Ruben Amorim is almost wedded to his 3-4-2-1 system, and he's not, and doesn't have the place. And I've kept saying this: use the resources you've got. And Nabi hasn't done that, and he said he's going to play to his ethos. He said, if we use the players a certain way, we might have won more matches. That is your job. That is your
Win
job.
the games.
Literally, that is your job.
I still think Benny is the best man suited for this job. Honestly, that's my
Chiefs?
opinion. Yes. Yes. I think if we just gave him the opportunity instead of Nabi, Chiefs would not be where they are. But that's just my opinion. A Liverpool fan, again from you, anything you want to say?
About what?
A coronation or anything?
I mean, it sits easy on me these days. I was at the Pirates Sports Club yesterday, and we were watching the MotoGP, and this busload of Liverpool fans arrived. I think they're the Joburg North Division or Charter, and it was basically, there was 2 white oaks there, Indian black oaks, coloured oaks. The singing and the dancing for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think they must have dropped 10 to 20K behind the bar.
Wow.
Then they basically...
Not kilos.
They had their own Premier League trophy, and I'll put up a picture of it later. And there's me, basically a full
Lifestyle,
scale,
life size.
life-size, full-scale replica of the trophy. Full weights, made from metal, so it wasn't like a little plastic one.
It's actually quite a pretty trophy.
It's a very pretty trophy, unlike the Hubbly Bubbly.
The one you can order anyway.
Yeah. But
Still looks
but
better.
they were there. They sang all the songs. Bobby Firmino's song, Mo Salah, You Never Walk Alone. Songs for Trent, songs for Virgil. It was just like a special. It was unexpected. I mean, a friend of mine came in from outside. He said, "What's the noise?" I said, "Liverpool's here, man."
Also, Kani Simbine, we have to talk about that. Obviously, running very consistently at 9.95. And from what I pick up, Kev, this has been pretty much the times that he has been clocking.
Yeah, well, he's done 100 meters in 9.95 seconds. He's gone consistently under 10 seconds for the 6 races I think he's won this year, and I can see us winning gold in the 4x100 or the 4x400 in Los Angeles. So Los Angeles, it's next. It is, yeah. LA is next. It's just he's in a great space. He gave up the South African Championships to run these races overseas, to take part in the Diamond League, and he was just short of the record in the Moroccan meeting in Rabat.
Okay.
Is he able to take the next step? Because he's one of the most consistent runners, but
Yeah.
when it comes to...
See, I don't think we'll have another Usain Bolt,
Yep.
another Warren Gatland, because those guys are special. And I see that one of the younger guys who's underneath him,
Are they specialer?
yeah, but this guy's being trained by Carl Lewis.
Yes,
who
yes.
was eventually, you know,
was
an
one of the
Olympic champion,
specialers team.
Yeah, I mean, he was the
Yeah.
long jump champion, 100-meter champion. He took part in that famous 1988 Seoul 100-meter, where basically I think 6 of the 8 runners were busted for drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's we've got a pipeline, you know, and it's like with under 20 football, like Amajita,
Yeah.
with going to Bafana.
Yeah, yeah.
There's that pipeline, consistency, and building the base. That's
Yeah.
that's what's working for us. At the moment.
Well, we are on all the socials. Omni Audio Africa. Check us out on Facebook. Omni Audio on Facebook. Omni Audio Africa on Insta, as well as TikTok. But these stories, I mean, let's unpack them a little more. I mean, we've given pretty much the headlines, but George Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yep.
I don't know actually where to start here, because I honestly thought that they had it in the bag.
Yep.
Right? There's 4 minutes of added time, and they lose it there. And for me, as a spectator, I almost feel as if they took their foot off the accelerator based on the fact that, you know, we got it. We
Yeah.
got it. They were there already, only to be stunned.
I think what's interesting is that what South African teams have struggled with is that being present in the game for the whole game. And Cardoso was brought in specifically for that. If you think about how Sundowns lost to Wydad, with similar conditions on goal, Mvala. This is African football, how it plays out. And the fact that they just couldn't see out that game, you know, and maybe it's because they're used to the PSL. You finish the game in 20 minutes and you don't have to worry about anything else for the whole game. But I mean, Pyramids and them stay a threat.
They do, they
Yeah.
do. And I mean, going to Egypt, and I want to bring Mtho in for that, so we're not going to talk about like
Yeah.
the second leg just yet. But for me, it's about the changes that he makes
Yes.
also,
Yeah.
right? He brings in a Shalulile.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all for pity. You mentioned it's about the PSL, you know, and maybe that is just what they're used to. But
Yeah.
this is a pedigree team. This
Yeah.
is a team that knows how to play in
Yeah, yeah,
Africa.
yeah.
I think there was even a story that said, take Ronwen Williams himself. This season alone, he's traveled the world 4 times in terms of kilometers and just how often they travel.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's an excuse. I don't think that playing in South Africa or Betway Prem is an excuse, because this team
Yeah.
knows what it's like to fight on the African continent.
I think the biggest issue is that, like, if you think about Rulani and them, they tend to go and experiment now, right? They want to go and do funny things at this stage. So Rulani was also killed by overthinking some of the things that he chose, some of the people he chose, the starting lineups. And if you look at what Coach Cardoso did here, you know, Sales on the pitch at the same time with Mayemo hasn't played.
Yeah.
There's so much that he's changed for this game, and I feel as though what has killed Sundowns up to this point has been when they get here, they start over. It's almost like that Pep thing, where Pep gets somewhere and he's like, no, I need to do something special. If that makes sense.
Like you start overthinking it,
Yeah.
yet what you did all along worked just
Exactly.
fine.
Yeah.
It worked just fine.
Yeah, I didn't have to think at all this weekend. I was just watching Liverpool. I was just watching Liverpool play, so I was okay.
So yeah, I mean, for me, that is, it's a bit of a thorn in the side, because obviously, as a South African, you want a South African team to go out there and take it. We bring in Thokozisi Dube in just now from the far post, and he will add, I guess, his extra bit of spice from his vantage point. Kaizer Chiefs, and as Kevin said, we have been talking about this. We've been talking about the philosophy, the why. And for me, a Nedbank Cup win and breaking the trophy drought
Yeah.
is not enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't earn his keep,
Yeah.
although many seem to think it does.
It could be a bad thing, actually, because Kaizer Chiefs has a history of getting right to the door, and now when they have to cross over, it's almost like the management wants to take over themselves and run the team.
But
So-
don't they? Don't they?
I mean, but the coach...
It's
like,
a family team.
I know, but like, for example, Ernst Middendorp gets them right to the door. We finish second, right, on the last day. You'd think that, okay, let him get the next season
Yeah.
go. And they go, no, we're going to start over. You know, Gavin Hunt gets us to a certain place in the Champions League. So I've always thought that the Nedbank Cup could be something bad for us when you look at it that way. But also, it doesn't paper over the fact that this season has been terrible.
Torrid.
It's
Oh
been
my gosh.
terrible.
I'm a
still
Kosi
don't
fan.
know.
Clearly, you are through and through, aren't you?
I don't like to admit it publicly, but
What you just did, because you kept on saying we and
Yeah.
we and we. So
I
you've
love-
given yourself
Romy, I
away.
love
But your other
them.
team did okay. Arsenal women.
Yes.
Champions League
Again,
champions,
thank you
and,
so much.
Again, they were special. It's a special game. But anyway, I thought I'd give you a chance to celebrate something. So,
And you gave him an out there,
Yeah,
just
I know.
as he was
Yeah.
like, yes,
they
I'm
beat
a
Barcelona
Kosi fan.
1-0. Great game of football. I actually watched it. So, yeah.
No, I'm glad that Arsenal gets something this season, but they've always carried us from the days of like the GOAT, Miedema and them. I know they didn't win that many things, but you can always count on them.
Back to Amakosi. So who do you think should coach your team? I'm
thought you
just
were letting me go.
asking. No.
I don't know. I think it's not necessarily a name I have in mind, but I have a type of coach. I think we need to realize exactly where Chiefs is right now, and maybe you need to. This is a time for us to grind. We need a coach who understands how to take
Benny.
a team from number 9 to number 3.
Benny.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. I don't know. That for me, think about it.
Benny, I think Benny is. It's not that he's not a good coach, and he's not going to be good for Kaizer Chiefs, but I think that he's got such a personality and such a loudness that I don't know how that will go down in the head office.
I think, yeah, actually, good point. But
I mean, if
for the
somebody's-
age of these
yeah.
players, I think he's perfect.
Yeah.
If anybody's louder than Jessica Matuang, then they're going to be in trouble. Because, but
Jess is not
Yeah.
loud.
but we were talking about emotion. Maybe Benny's an emotional coach. Benny touches with the characters of the players.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he could be. That could be a special thing as part of perhaps a bigger coaching team. 'Cause, yeah.
I just think you just need somebody who can grind right now. Like the reason why I liked Gavin when Gavin had come in was that, I think Kaizer Chiefs, we think we are what we are not. So you need to now get from number 9 and number 3 is different problems. Those are different issues. So you need somebody who can come in, look at the team and say, guys, I'm going to set you guys up to go and get the points. I don't care how. I mean, Nabi, just a couple of months ago, he came out and he was like, yeah, I could win these games. I could go into a low block and counter and go win, but I want to play with flair. That's not the time.
No, you've
It's
got to
not
win.
the
We don't
time.
want antics. We want to see football. We want to see a Kaizer Chiefs whom we know has the power to be able to not be in the bottom half of the table. Mtho Dude from the Far Post. He is the editor there. He is on the line. Mtho, welcome.
Good morning, Romy, and good morning to the listeners.
Look, we're having quite a discussion here, Mtho, because for you, from your vantage point, Sundowns over the weekend, what happened?
Look, I think Sundowns made the coach, I feel he made a few mistakes. Looking at his starting lineup, I got the feeling that with Allende, Tebucho and Arthur Sales in midfield, I got the feeling they were going to be overrun in midfield. They were not going to have the kind of control that we saw during Brulani's tenure. I mean, even if they didn't win games, you could see they had control of the game. On Saturday, they didn't have it. Also, going into that game, I think Sundowns should have known that Pyramids scores a lot of goals in the last 5 minutes of the games. You go back, don't go very far. The Pirates game, you look at how they came back and won that game. So in the second half, when they scored, when Sundowns scored, I think they relaxed a bit because they allowed Pyramids to, come in and throw balls into the box until they eventually got that much-needed away goal. So the other big mistake that I feel the coach made was not introducing Themba Zwane. Yes, he's not fully fit, but when you take off Ribeiro and Reyners, you obviously, in a way, taking out your goal threat. So I think he needed to bring in someone like Themba because Themba is able to keep the ball. He's the most experienced player in that team. He also has a goal in him. He also has an assist in him. So I think those were, look, that's just my opinion about the way he got it wrong.
Taking off Iki as well as Ribeiro, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that also signal we got it? We got it. We got this one. It's in the bag.
Yes. And it also says we're comfortable with the 1-0. Because Sundowns could have gone and scored the second goal. I mean, it's possible. They've got the quality. In fact, I mean, you were discussing Kaizer Chiefs where you question over quality. At Sundowns, quality is not the issue. You literally have this
Everything.
guy's got 35 quality players that can play and win him a game. But I mean, his love for Arthur Salis, I don't understand. In that game, for me, it just didn't make sense. Especially when you have a Tembazwane on the bench, when you have a Peter Shalulile on the bench. I mean, these are players that have experience at that level. So yeah, he must, going to the second leg, I think he really has to get it right, because it could be Chai if he doesn't win that game in Cairo.
Yeah, George, do you think he's going to come on with him, Shishi, in the next leg? Probably start with him, Shishi.
I don't think so. I honestly don't. Sorry, Mtho. I honestly don't think so. I think he's going to revert back to what they've been doing the whole season long. Maybe keeping that front three, or bringing in a front three sort of game, and then having maybe an Adams come in. I think he's going to try bide his time as much as possible in that game. If he comes in any other way, I don't know if they're going to make it out there.
Sure. Agree with that, Mtho?
Yeah. Look, okay, because, after the game, I asked him during the post-match press conference, and I said to him, Coach, your decision to leave Kemba on the bench, he said, no, we needed a bit of balance in midfield, but they didn't have the balance.
No, you bring him in for the balance.
So he must know that keeping Tembazwane didn't help him. And going into the second leg, you definitely will have to play Temba. It's gonna be a very tricky game, because Pyramids are stronger at home. They're not an easy team to play, especially in the Champions League. I think they've proven at home that they can beat anyone. So Sundowns really needs to get there and tries to get an early goal. That will help them, because then Pyramids will have to obviously chase and not relax. If they do get the early goal, they need to go for a second, Then I think that would put them in a much better position.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. Mtho, the season obviously coming to a close. Orlando Pirates have Magesi still to play, but just in terms of, teams, I've been quite shocked, to be honest, this season. Kev, if you take a look obviously also at where they're sitting, a SuperSport, a Cape Town City, for example, I'm shocked by how well Mokoena has done, and a Polokwane City, and where they're sitting compared to, the ones that usually are there. But as it rounds up, Mtho, just your reflection on the season that was.
Look, obviously, disappointing that once again you have a Sundowns winning the league by, I think they lead by about 13 points. Of course, Pirates still have to play that game. If they do, then it's 10 points. I think it still says you still have that gap between Pirates and Sundowns. But I keep saying this. I feel Pirates failed Jose Rivero, because in January they should have reinforced. This could have been their season. If they'd gone into the market and gotten 3 players, I think they could have, pushed Sundowns to the wire, or even won it. And also in terms of the Champions League as well. But look at also Stellenbosch. I think they've been consistent. Just also getting that CAF Confed spot, which I think is very important. Skokune constantly signing quality quality experienced players. Sometimes I think we say it's rejects from Pirates, for instance, where they go and get a Lindam Tambo. They go and get Tabang Munare, but that's experience, and it shows in the way that they've actually performed. And then I think Arthur's has done extremely well. I think when he found Amazulu, they were struggling. They were right at the bottom, and going to finish 6th. I think that's massive. And you see, Amazulu have said they'll keep him. But obviously disappointing. Kaizer Chiefs, I think, with the investment they've made, bringing in a whole technical team. And then struggling to win simple games. And when I look at Chiefs, I think if you look in the last 3 seasons, they've not scored more than 33 goals in a 30-game season. So this season again, only managing 25 goals in 28 games. I think that's not good enough. So yeah, something must give there. But at the bottom, you see Cape Town City, and I think John Comitis made a big mistake by getting rid of Eric Tinkler. Tinkler always starts with not start very well, but with time he actually picks up. I think they've got a very good squad. They shouldn't even be where they are. But I think those coaching changes that he made, bringing in Machine, it didn't really help. Then it would really be sad if SuperSport has to go to the playoffs. I mean, we know what they've done over the years. Man. I think these are clubs that are structured. You won't hear issues about players not being paid, and also you want these teams to be in the league. But it's unfortunate if selling your players and not replacing them with quality. This is what happens. In the case of SuperSport.
Agreeing there?
I've got a never-ending question. Who's going to sign Osmanopolis? Because everyone
It's
seems to
gonna
be
be
signing.
Chiefs.
Is it going to be Chiefs? Is it going to be Pirates? Because every time you talk around, he's not going nowhere.
RC should go to Chiefs, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
Will they pick up the phone? I think that's the big question.
Apparently, somebody's talking about in the region of 20 million rand for him. That's what I'm reading right now. So who's going to sign him?
Look,
sorry.
No one is going to sign him. Polokwane City have made it clear that they are not selling.
But Mtho, no, that bothers me. Because are you going to get out of the player what you want? By you stifling the player, and the player wants to go. But now the onus is on him to perform, because if he doesn't perform, no other club will want him. But now you perform at your peak, right? You give your all, and the club still won't release you. I find that so unfair.
Look, I mean, Polokwane City, it's a good question. Are they going to answer the phone? I don't think they will answer the phone. Even the 20 million that they are calling, I mean, when you think of it, it just doesn't. It's ridiculous. The 13 million that MC Aja wanted to pay for me is still over the top. Okay, Chiefs offered 9 million rands. They didn't answer the phone. So I don't see anyone answering the phone.
Don't make a phone call. Go there in person.
I think when he joined them, he signed a 4-year deal. He's done 2 years. So it's 2 more years. He needs to wait. At least he's still fairly young. So he still has a couple of years. So he should just be patient and then I think by the time the contract expires, he'll be 25. So
I guess he's got age on his side still.
Yeah, his contract. He's contracted until June 2026, but the club has got an option to extend for another year.
Of course, always.
Okay,
25. So
26. All right.
Yeah.
Biggest upsets for you, George, in terms of bottom half of the table. SuperSport definitely, but then there's the whole Royal M debacle. Did that throw the league completely, out of proportion?
No, I think so. Not just in the games that are played, but just drama in general is never a good thing within the league. Losing a team when we lost the team, when the PSL had to come up with all types of delays to try and see if they can't do something. I think that's always something. But I want to touch on Cape Town City and SuperSport. I think as well run of teams those two are, you can only ride your luck for so long. And I think a lot of the teams in the PSL, you start to realize how much of a job Gavin Hunt was doing, how much of a job Eric Tinkler was doing to make sure that these teams are where they are without the extra investment, without the help. I mean, we're speaking about Upper List right now. My question about Upper List to Polokwane City is great. You're keeping the player. We always complain about teams selling their players. Well, what are you doing with it? Are you adding other players on top? Are you beefing up in order to go take them somewhere? I mean, it's hard to look at a player and go, you must stay at Polokwane City, but you're not in the Confed. You're not doing what you get. Where am I going from here?
He gets Bafana.
Yeah.
Because he's a national team player.
And then he might not even get Bafana because Polokwane City may go through a slump and now I can't carry them the whole time, So whenever I look at the teams, I always worry about that are you guys consistent in wanting to go win and actually, putting your hands in your pockets to go and fetch or pay the monies or do those things. You can't just keep the guys.
Yeah.
No
because you want to, because it's, Mtho, I want to ask if there's any word that you've heard of a change of coach out at Naturena.
Dun, dun, dun.
Look,
dun, dun.
So what I've heard is that there is obviously a section that feels the coach should go because the league form was not good enough. And then there was a meeting with the chairman, which the coach spoke about after the game against Mokoena City, and basically said the chairman, he's actually offered his support to say, look, we understand where we are. We know the direction that we must take and how we must invest in the squad. So it's now, and when I now look at it, I mean, for the coach to come on publicly and say this thing, it means there was indeed a meeting, and the chairman is actually backing the coach, which obviously would likely mean the
But
coach
isn't
would
that just
stay.
for the eye blind? Isn't that just for the eye blind so that media don't start digging, you know? And they could very well change it. As much as the coaches, he's got to be in support of the coach that they've brought in. I don't think until such a time where they're ready to say goodbye, everybody's going to be in support, right?
Look, I think there's you can see what the Nedbank winning the Nedbank Cup may have bought Nabi a bit of time, you know, because there's that conversation to say, but okay, this guy actually ended the 10-year trophy drought. He's won us a Nedbank. Okay, let's see. He's got another year left on his contract. Let's see what he could do if we go into the market and invest and give him the players that he's crying for. Let's see what he could do. Because you must also understand, Kaizer Chiefs, sometimes I think they tend to listen to the fan base, you know, what are the fans saying? So you've got a section of the fans that's saying, no, but the coach needs quality. We don't have the quality to compete. So give the coach the quality and let's see what he can do in his second season. So that could actually, play out in their minds as they make whatever decision. So from where I'm standing, I think he's likely to be given another season.
All right. Orlando Stadium, what's the news there?
Orlando Stadium, look, I'd have to be very honest. It's
rather.
not, I'm not really sure what's happening in terms of a new coach. They've really kept it under wraps.
As usual.
Yeah. So, but
A lot of secrets there.
I was asking someone and I said, but is it likely to be Orlando? They said, no, you guys would be shocked. You'll be surprised. It's another surprise, you know.
Because
So,
Vilakazi said, he put it quite nicely. He said, it would be amazing to see a Pizzo and a Rulani take over at Pirates. And I said, isn't there a tussle, though, in terms of them both now being coaches in their own right, head coaches, versus one assuming the head coach role and the other the assistant again. Do you think that is a likely occurrence?
No, that's unlikely. In fact, I would even go further and say I don't see any of them being given the job as head coach. And I say so because I think when you look at how Coach Pizzo is, where he is now and how he operates, he would want to obviously bring in his
own team.
entire technical team. Pirates obviously have people that they have kept after the exit of Jose. So they won't want to now invest in a whole new technical team. And then there's the issue of recruitment. Pirates, there's a way they do things. You can see they've already signed, I think, about 4 players already.
Yeah.
Before the coach is announced or arrives. In fact, they were signing these players before Jose left. And I'm told that's one of the reasons Rivero left, didn't renew, because he didn't have that control in terms of the, recruitment and felt he was not backed enough in the market. So Pizzo won't accept that. It's not going to happen with Pizzo. He's going to come in and say, listen, I want to challenge Sundowns. Give me the players to challenge Sundowns. And I don't think Pirates are at that place where they want to go and compete for, the big players. They're going to sign a player at Cheaper. They're going to sign a player at Richards Bay. They're going to sign a player at Baroka, which is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, but that's not Pizzo. And then with Rulani as well, I don't know. I think he's you can see how they loved how Rivero handled the media, and that's a big thing at Pirates, by the way. Rulani is not that kind of. He's going to come out and tell you, these players are tired.
Yeah, go completely against the ethos and how things are run there. In closing, very quickly, time is against us, Jen. So Peko Gerald here, he sent through a comment. He says, Chiefs should sign Apollos as well as Saleng. Which brings the other question: where is Monopule Saleng? But how would you agree with this,
Some
Mtho?
of the problems.
Look, Saleng would be a game changer for Chiefs. If Chiefs signed Saleng, I'm telling you, he would be a game
They
changer
should
because he's got
actually.
goals, he's got assists, which is what they've struggled with. But Pirates would not
Let him
want
go.
to see him moving to
Chiefs,
because they still have you know 2 more years with him. So they definitely won't let him go to
George,
Kaizer Chiefs
your
or
take?
Sundowns.
Yeah.
I look at it a little bit differently. I don't want Saleng to come to Chiefs. No. I'll tell you why. I think Chiefs have struggled. Number one, they're not quite sure what they want to play. I don't know what Chiefs is.
Okay, true.
ethos for
That's
club
the philosophy is.
You know,
okay.
but then also, if you've noticed, we've struggled with players that have had success elsewhere, and they're coming to Chiefs a little bit old. It almost feels like they're coming to Chiefs want to retire at a nice. You know, they've
Cushy
got the
life.
fame, they've got all of that stuff. They get to tick off the bucket list, and they don't perform. You think of your Serenos, you think of your Dollies, you think of those players. I don't want to go for people's leftovers or offcast. Not to say he's not a good player, but whenever they arrive, it's almost like they get swallowed by this
The
celebrity.
fame. It's like a Manchester United thing
Yeah.
as well. You know, it's about the
Definitely,
fame and the enormity of where
Yeah.
you are. Guys, we could talk forever, but it's 9:00 on the dot. Mtho, thank you so much. George, Kev, we rock it again tomorrow at 8:30.